Moving on, the Nigerian Stock Exchange is gaining a midday trade after closing flat on Thursday, and pretty much the rest of what we've seen since Monday. Olalekan Olabode, banking analyst at Vetiva, joins us to discuss this week's trading activity and, of course, giving us some of his top banking stocks for the week. Thank you so much, Lekon, for sticking around with us. Let's make an investment case for 2-3 banking stocks that you see that you think stood out this week, even in the midst of a market lull that we saw.
Oh, okay, thank you. For us, I think the big names to call in the banking space remains the tier 1 banks, and among those banks, Access Bank jumps out. Zenith still remains strong. GTB remains strong. UBA has been relatively underpriced for some time. It remains a good stock. For Access Bank, in the last 1 year, we've seen significant traction they've gained. Their earnings was supported by improved liquidity last year, and we have seen that even coming into this year. We've seen they've been the best performing bank as at Q1 performance in terms of earnings. For GT Bank, the story about GT Bank remains the same. Highly efficient and good cost structure. For Zenith Bank, a good asset quality stands out.
Are these good asset quality? Are these the strong points of this individually? That
they remain the strong points of this bank. Zenith Bank is known for the asset quality, strong asset quality. UBA is also in that line. They have very good asset quality, although we believe UBA can do better in terms of their maximizing their balance sheet. Loan to deposit ratio remains very weak, around just between 40 and 50% compared to the industry average of about 70. We see significant, and in the tier 2 name, I see FCMB. Okay. They've really done well in terms of earnings. So we expect that when the economic activity stabilizes, we are going to see that these are the stocks that are going to benefit.
Are these predictable strategies? For these banks? I know that. You talked about how the economy moves on this year. There's still a bit of uncertainty. We're still having a new government come in. We don't know how those huge fiscal challenges are going to be sorted out. We're having an MPC in about 2 weeks from now. Let's start with the MPC. Are you expecting any major changes? Because the central bank governor is going to review the economy, macroeconomy since the last time they met. And we're looking at the strategies the banks continue to employ. Is it still what we expect them to do, or can they do differently?
I think we've seen that the banks have tried to go into the retail business segment. A lot of them have been trying to improve their top line through that segment because the segment is relatively more attractive in terms of earning, as in terms of top line, in terms of returns. Okay. But we also know that the segment is full of risk. The risk in that segment is higher, given default. For the MPC decision, I think where we try to look at it from is that for the last MPC meeting to where we are now, what has changed? Has anything changed significantly in terms of the macro stories?
The key indicators,
It's neither here nor there. For me, I really cannot see any significant change between that time and now. So I would rather say that we expect that status quo will remain.
Are we just lucky that a key indicator, for instance, inflation remains in single digits? We've seen a softer economy. We've seen consumer spending dropping. We've seen purchasing power also dropping. Yet the price of goods and services are still relatively. We haven't seen any sharp increase in that front.
Yeah, I think just as you said, it has remained in single digit. It's in line with our expectation in terms of in-house expectation. I think it's not so much of luck. It's a lot of things balancing themselves here and there. And we think it's still going to remain that way. Okay,
what about foreign exchange? Are you expecting any? We've seen the Naira stabilize at 199, but I suppose we're going to have to leave it there. Probably out of time at this point. But thank you so much, Lekon, for taking the time out to join us and being a guest host today on Power Lunch West Africa. That was Olalekan Olabode, banking analyst at Vetiva.